channel. I'm Deanna and you're watching Orchie, and today I wanted to show you what's in bloom and spike for the month. Now, all my plants are still getting settled back in after my 2-month holiday, and yes, so I don't have a lot of blooms, but I do have a lot of spikes, so I thought I'd combine the two this month. It's been quite a few months since my last orchies in bloom, so yeah, I'm just trying to get back into the rhythm of things. But yeah, you can see here I'm focusing on this little setup. So I've got some grow lights installed, and I've got grow lights in the house. I'm constantly struggling with each season with the shifting of light, and it seems to be all or nothing, because in winter it's on one side of the house with full direct sun or none at all, and then in summer it's on the other side, which is a real shame that I'm in Australia and struggling with light. It just seems really silly. But until I get my shade house, this is going to be a little bit of a battle. But we just set them up last week and I'm really pleased. So anyway, we'll start on this shelf and we'll start over here. I can't take any credit for these blooms. This plant came to me in spike a few weeks ago, but this is Dendrobium varieties, and it's a Kingianum cross. And I'm trying not to block out the light. You can see it's very similar to the Dendrobium Kingianum, but without a direct comparison, I do believe that these blooms are bigger. You can see they're still quite small compared to my finger, about an inch across, but that's still bigger than the Kingianum. And I think the shape is slightly different as well. There's less of a spur on these guys, but otherwise really quite similar. Now, I love this little pink color on it, and this one has 4 spikes currently, but I just discovered this morning that there's a couple more. I think there's one back here as well, but it is a strong, healthy plant, so I'm not going to disturb it till it finishes blooming. What I will say is I have struggled with my previous Kingianums. I only have 1 now. I used to have 2 with spider mites last summer, and one of them, well, the spider mites just completely took it down, which is a real shame. So I'm going to try and protect this one a little bit more next summer. Now, in terms of fragrance, look, I'm not getting as strong a fragrance as the Kingianum, but it's a similar type of fragrance. It's like a little bit of a honey jasmine type smell. But yeah, beautiful little thing. Now, next door I've got 3 epidendrums, all in spike at the moment. This is a new one that came with the berryota. It's called Wayne's Fuchsia, so I'm expecting fuchsia coloured flowers. There's a little spike developing there. Now, this plant seems to be a bit of a cakey machine. All the new growths seem to be cakeys. It's got lots of new growths, but you can see it's just, they're all coming from here. Look, this growth's even coming from the bottom of an old flower spike. It's just a little bit silly. I don't really like that sort of growth habit, so we'll see what I do with it. These 2 epidendrums, well, they've both been doing really lovely, and I came home to a couple of flower spikes on this one, but you can see that the buds are developing. This is Epidendrum Tiny Valley. I've got 2 big flower spikes on that, and 2 flower spikes on this Wedding Valley Sakura as well. So it's a bit hard to separate it from the shadowing, but you can see it's starting to bud out a little bit there. So yeah, I should have them all in bloom in a month or so, so that'll be lovely. And over here we've got one of my Rhynchostylises. This is Rhynchostylis gigantea spots with one beautiful spike developing. This is one of my favourite blooms. So I'm really excited about that. And super fragrant flowers. On this side we've got another Rhynchostylis. This one is Dixie Delight, with the little spike developing over here. And I also just noticed this is one of my Phalaenopsis type dendrobiums, one of the big ones, and it's just starting to bring out this spike as well. This is the one with the big white flowers, so I'll put a picture up if I can find it. Over on this side we don't have a lot happening. Phragmipedium cardinal is still doing stuff, but you can see that this flower's fallen off and there's nothing else coming. So this is my only Phragmipedium that's bloomed for me, so I'm not sure what course these sort of sequential spikes take, whether this one will just die back now or whether it'll stay like this and bloom again in the warmer months. I'm not sure, but this one's still got at least one more flower left in it. And yeah, so keen to see the course of action it's going to take from here. But yeah, nothing much else happening over here, so we'll move inside now. I've got a few blooms on display at the moment, and we'll start over here with my No ID Paphiopedilum, which I actually got about a year ago in bud, and this will be my first Paphiopedilum rebloom, which is pretty awesome. So this plant really holds a bit of sentimental value to me, but she is absolutely beautiful as well. You can see how big she is. She sort of spans the size of my hand, and just that huge glossy lip. But I absolutely adore this patterning on, I like to call it her little hat. It's really stunning. And I love how it's all smooth and shiny on one side and then cute and fuzzy on the other. It's a very healthy plant actually. It's got this growth developing, and I can see like a little growth starting to come out there as well. And here next door we've got Oncidisa Sweet Sugar, my dancing lady, who came back nearly in full bloom from Lee, my orchid sitter. But yeah, I wanted to show you the size of some of these blooms, because when I got it in bloom last year, the blooms were quite small, about the same size as, say, this one here. But some of these blooms are absolutely massive. Look at the skirt on this one. Nearly 2 inches across. So yeah, I think that's a good sign, like a sign that she's happy and doing well. But these ones are just starting to fade out. I think you can see a little bit of wrinkling on that skirt there, but she's a beauty. I apologise, the lighting down here is not great, but this is at my front entrance. And this is Dendrobium Temasek Princess. And she is beautiful. Now we've seen her in bloom before, so this is a rebloom for me, but I love this flower. Just really, really lovely, simple bloom, but there's just something about it that always draws me. You can see its petals sort of curl back a little bit, so I reckon it's got a little bit of maybe spatulata type in the background as well. And she's lightly fragrant. Yeah, you can see she's a big girl. And it came back from Lee as well. Her little girls put these little butterflies in the pots, and they're adorable, so I've just kept them. But yeah, that's Dendrobium Temasek Princess. Here in the fowl room we've got all sorts of spiking action happening. Got spike coming out here. My little recent acquisition, Phalaenopsis Santa Claus, with its first spike there. This is a no ID from my grandma, which has blooms coming out of an old flower spike, but also it's got this little spike emerging down here as well. We've got this little no ID, little nubbin coming out there, that's a flower spike. And I think this one as well. I do believe that that's a flower spike emerging there. Now it does look like it's in an odd spot, but I think that's because this leaf is damaged. But yeah, I am pretty sure, 95% sure that that's a flower spike and not a root coming out there. It's just too pointy to be a root. Over here, that one is spike, but we've got Serga Euclidean developing its spike here. Another no ID with a beautiful spike. And this is one from my grandma. This is Stella with a spike coming out there. We've got a really lovely spike developing from Phalaenopsis Vesuvius here. It's growing quite steadily. Now in here we've got, this is the phal my mum gave me for a housewarming like a couple of years ago. And I'm really surprised it didn't bring out another flower spike actually, because it's grown quite a few new leaves in the last season. It's super healthy, good root system. But then I discovered that it's bringing this secondary spike out from this old spike that I've kept. And I don't know, I think I would have preferred a brand new spike. This is actually a little bit annoying, but it's happening now. I just sort of kept this spike because they say that the plant will reabsorb nutrients. I cut it down quite low, so I really didn't think it would re-spike out of there, but it has, so yeah, it's all a learning experience. And let's move to the blooms, but this is a first time bloomer, so it's a very young plant. This is Phalaenopsis Paradise. You can see it's just a short spike, but it's a first time bloomer, so I'll forgive that. But she is really adorable. I love everything about this flower. The colour, that veining, the contrast between the yellow and pink down here. But the shape is really unique. You can see it's a bit different from the typical Phalaenopsis, like the next mini phal I'll show you has a completely different shape. You can see this one's more triangular. There's something about it, it's just really, really nice. I love it. This is my other phal that's just coming into bloom at the moment. And I've just put it over here because I'm trying to capture the colour, and I just can't seem to capture the colour on my camera. But it is a deep fuchsia colour and it is absolutely stunning. But unfortunately it just looks pink on my screen at the moment, so I'm not sure how it's going to end up. Anyway, it's got this spike and a little secondary spike coming out here. Really healthy plant. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's actually a lot deeper and richer in real life. And it's got a little bit more of a purple blue sort of hint to it. Really simple again, but beautiful. And we'll finish in my upstairs grow space where I've got a few spikes and a few blooms. But this is my Colmonara Wildcat, which has 2 spikes, very wonky spikes. I'll link you to the video when I got this back. This little spike here was stuck, but it's emerging out okay. Super crooked, but I'll take it. These buds are developing really nicely. Just an odd spike, that's all. Now, I'm not sure what to do with this one. This is one that we repotted together, and I don't think this spike has moved. However, the buds are continuing to swell. I think I'm just going to have to keep an eye on it because I can see that this pseudobulb's just beginning to shrivel a little bit. But if it continues to shrivel significantly, then I'll see that it's sort of struggling and trying to focus more energy than it has in its reserves into this bloom spike. And to overcome that, I'll just have to chop this spike off. It's already got a significant amount of damage from the snail that was there. We'll see. I'm willing to give it a chance to try and get this spike out because, well, I'm just curious. But it's definitely one I'll have to keep a close eye on. And this one here is Bellara Peggy Ruth Carpenter with its very first spike. It's blasted one of its buds, the other two are still intact. We've got another Colmonara Wildcat here, but a different variety. This is variety Bloodshot with a little spike growing nicely. Now this one's fading out, but this is Fornara Golden Spice, red pepper. And she came back to me in full bloom from Christine and it's already lost a flower, but I'm just surprised that she's still in bloom, so I thought she deserved her 2 seconds in the spotlight, but pretty little thing there. And we've got Oncidium Twinkle Pink Profusion, also known as Mrs. Twinkle here, with her first blooms. There's 2 spikes over this side, you can see. Oh gosh, she is really cute, really adorable. Just look at this cute tiny little bloom. You really have to zoom in to appreciate how beautiful it is, but it's got different little shades of pink and red through it. And in terms of fragrance, it's got a typical twinkle fragrance, which is actually really difficult to describe. It's kind of like a cross, I think, between vanilla and fairy floss, but I'm not sure if the colour is influencing me. I reckon she smells slightly of strawberry candy as well. Anyway, I'm in love with these blooms. Pity the plant looks a bit tatty. I need to tidy her up a bit, but so cute. And last, guys, but definitely not least, Mr. Twinkle is blooming, nearly in full bloom. Just a couple more spikes there to open. He's going to produce 13 spikes for me this time round, and the blooms are just so adorable. Absolutely brilliant. Just the cutest flower. But you can see with all those spikes, it's just a beautiful display. And the fragrance, oh my goodness, the fragrance every time we walk past is just divine. It is kind of like that fairy floss crossed with vanilla, but it's got a real powdery sort of texture, if that makes any sense at all. I don't know if I'll ever be able to put it into words, but I hope you all get to smell a twinkle in your lifetimes. It's just a really lovely fragrance. And yeah, I did find last time that the blooms don't last an extraordinarily long time, probably around 3 to 4 weeks, like for an individual flower. But as they fall, sometimes some of the other little branches are just playing catch up, so the entire bloom span last time lasted a couple of months. You can see that one's still budding there. Alright guys, well, I suppose that's it for my spikes and blooms this month. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more orchid videos. I can't get enough of Mr. Twinkle, so I'm just going to leave it there. Hope you guys have a fantastic week and happy growing until I see you next time. Bye!